Thank you for tuning in to TalkWad.com, the world's fastest growing internet radio. Please check out all the other great shows on www.talkwad.com. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in.
She has a wonderful personality. She really does.
You are listening to Talking with Gloria.
Let's take a walk on the wild side.
With your host, Gloria Ponziano.
Gloria Ponziano, and joining me tonight in the studio is Mike Labua from Elite Body Personal Training here in Palm Harbor. Hi, Mike.
How you doing, Gloria?
Great. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks once again.
Mike is our expert, our fitness expert on demand, and he has come to answer your questions, give us some great advice. I told you that we were going to be talking fitness and health today, and that's exactly what we're going to start out doing. But before I do, I just want to make a quick announcement that for those of you that are interested in the Tapping Your Inner Power, we're going to be having another meeting here in Clearwater on April 20th. That's Saturday at 11 o'clock. And you can go to my website and check out the events calendar and find out all the information you need, the address, the time, and how you go about making payments. So make sure you join us for Tapping Your Inner Power. And I'll be bringing the event myself. So make sure you join us. Okay, Mike. So let's, today you said that we're going to be talking about debunking myths.
Yes, there's a lot of myths out there in the industry with fitness and building a body. And probably the most common one is dealing with the midsection, your abdominal wall. Okay. You see a lot of people that tend to hold a lot of weight there and thinking that to get that protrusion down, that big belly down there, they're going to just do a bunch of crunches or sit-ups until the cows come home, so to speak. And that will not do anything as far as flattening out that tummy, okay? So you cannot spot reduce. It'll come through, or actually you need to burn it off through cardio and eating properly, okay? If you do the abs crunches, you're going to strengthen that muscle group, that area, but it's not going to take that protrusion away. You're always going to have that body fat there. So crunches are not the answer. It's getting that cardio in, burning those calories, and eating correctly. Not starving yourself, but eating correctly. You must feed the body.
That's a good point, because I don't go anywhere where somebody doesn't ask. If we start talking about fitness, they'll say, oh, how do you do? I'm doing 100, 500 at a time, sit-ups at a time. And they just really don't understand that it's the abdominal wall that you want to see, and you can't see the abdominal wall until you get rid of the body fat that's on that.
Yeah, right.
Good nutrition. What do you recommend? Now, see, that's another myth. Well, I don't want to say a myth, but it's definitely a misnomer that the less you eat, the more weight you're going to lose. Right. And that is a problem in this country, big time.
Big time.
Why don't you address that?
Yes. Starving the body or reducing the calories, the scale weight will go down eventually, but then you're going to hit a set point, and then you're going to have to just start bringing more calories down again to bring the scale down. But what you're doing is you're just burning the muscle that you do have on the body away. So you're that skinny fat person, so to speak, is what you're going to become. You're not any more fit. You don't feel any better. You're lighter on the scale, but you must feed the body. Otherwise, it will just melt away muscle as well. The scale goes down, and eventually you hit a set point. Oh my God, I'm eating 1,000 calories. I'm going to go down to 700. 700 becomes 500, and before you know it, you're starving yourself. Forget working out. You're not going to have any energy for that because you're not eating. So
I so wish that we could do something in our country to stop this this madness of people being so consumed with what the scale tells them. And I mean, there's a balance with everything. Obviously, we both know that, but there's so much of the weight issues as far as like you said, what the scale is telling them. That's really all they're consumed with. and they're not realizing that. I mean, remember when Karen Carpenter died from
Yes,
anorexia?
yes.
We all remember, well, some
Yep.
of us remember that.
Sure.
We're dating ourselves a little bit, but when she died of anorexia, I mean, here you have this bone skinny person, and the heart just grew too weak. There was no exercise involved. There was actual starvation. And Americans are doing that all the time,
Yes.
simply by going from, say, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning when they grab a donut or they grab coffee, and they're going on that stimulant of caffeine all day long. And then when it comes to lunch, they'll have a small salad, and then they crash
Correct.
about 3 o'clock, and they need something sweet to pick them up.
Right.
Deal with that a little bit.
Well, again, we've talked on shows in the past that the best way to defeat that is to eat. Believe it or not, you want to graze like the horse, so you want to eat throughout the day, every 3 hours. You can be 2 hours if they're smaller meals, or like a protein shake or a meal replacement shake. It's a liquid, so 2 hours later you can eat again. And that what that does, it keeps that metabolism just cooking like it was when we were 18 years old. Nothing sticks, and you're just reeling. Now that metabolism will slow down as we get older. Our activity level also slows down. That's a fact there too. So you got that double whammy going on there too. You're not active, and your metabolism is slowing way down, and then now your body's just storing that fat when you do eat. If you teach the body, here comes nutrition every 3 hours, and you're working out, you're going to use that nutrition is going to be used for energy. It's like that fire that we talked about a couple of sessions back, and that fire is going out. You throw that another log on that thing to keep it burning. You're going to treat your metabolism the same way. You don't want it to just shut down, okay, and go into a survival mechanism, because the body will do that. If you don't feed it, it doesn't know when it's going to be fed again. It's not taught. It's going to store it. I may have to live off that meal. I'm going to store that thing away here. And it's not, so that's basically what's going to happen there. But if you teach, here it comes every 3 hours, the body will know that it's not going to store anything. You're going to be able to use that as fuel for your workouts or for your activities, that whatever you do during the day that you enjoy doing.
Yeah. Now, talk a little bit when you said when you're training your body to have fuel coming into it every 3 to 4 hours. I've been doing that for years and years and years, because most of my listeners know that I used to be doing this for a living back in Chicago, and my body got used to it. And even when I wasn't working out, I couldn't go beyond 3 or 4 hours.
Right.
And if I had $1 for every time somebody would say to me, "You have diabetes that you have to eat all the time."
Right.
So do you want to address that to make?
Well, it's funny you say that. One of our clients, about 3-4 years back, she's a diabetic, self-administered, and had a baby. And 6 months after having a baby, decides, very fit gal, decided she would like to do a figure show. It's like a bodybuilding show, but scaled down. The dieting is less severe on that. She won her class. She won the whole thing, actually, the whole show. But before her starting, I told her that the hardest part, you got it licked already, because you understand about the meals have to come in because of being a diabetes. You can't crash. You got to keep that going. So she's so used to doing that. That's the hardest part, is the eating, getting that down. So she had that in her, in her pocket
brain
already right there.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't change nothing. That's exactly how you're going to eat to get ready for this show here. Keep coming with the protein, carbs in check, some good healthy fat. And
now some of our listeners might not know what you're talking about when you say eat protein and keep those carbs in check.
Right.
So
Right. Yep.
the carbs in check, what
Yes.
you're talking about is, say, for example, 25 grams of protein with about 20 grams of carbs.
Yeah,
You don't want to have too many more carbs than protein.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to have too many carbs, more than protein, unless you're a marathon runner or triathlete. Then the pasta is going to be there purposely a higher carbs for that athlete. But for your typical person, looking just to feel better, just a better quality of life, the carbs in check means, and I say that in check because carbs, that's fuel for the body, energy, and it has a bad rap because our nation is so infatuated with the pastas and the pizza dough and everything. It's just excessive carbs, and the excessive carbs are just going to convert into fat anyhow. That's why I say keep it in check, because it does have a purpose, but it's labeled as the enemy. No carbs, you got no fuel, no energy. You're not going to be able to even think straight. You just go on all a protein diet. You're seeing double after a while. It's not a good thing to do.
Thinking.
Foggy
You're
thinking.
getting that foggy thinking. You're getting lethargic. You're getting run down and everything. You don't just make the connection at all.
Right.
Now, what about as far as like other supplements that you would recommend for somebody that's training hard,
Right.
that's in the gym a minimum of 3 times a week?
Yep.
What we hear so much about creatine and Do women need to take that?
No.
Because that's one of the questions that came into me this week. Do women address that?
Yeah. Well, creatine, it's a cell volumizer. It's going to build muscle. And naturally it'll put some weight. You get on the scale, your weight will go up as well. And so it's got a place in the industry for those athletes that, if that's their goal, but a female, most of the times they don't want to put muscle size on. And I hear it all the time. Don't make my arms too big, which will never happen. You got to eat big to get big, and that's another whole topic there. But the creatine, you go to a nutrition store, they're going to sell you the creatine. They're not going to even care to ask who's using it. Why do you need it? It's just a sale to them, and it's a proven supplement, but it's not for anyone. You have to find out that individual's goals first before you prescribe something like that. But it's a proven supplement. It does work. It'll strengthen. It'll bring your strength up, size up as well too. And again, most females, they're not concerned with that. So creatine probably isn't the best thing for them.
Okay. Do you recommend it for the guys though?
Again, I do for the guys that they're looking for strength would help them as a football player, fighter, MMA fighter, boxer maybe too, depending, like a heavyweights, because it's going to bring some power along with it, which sometimes you want that in your arsenal as far as depending on what athletics you're doing, but it's not for everyone as well too. You have maybe a swimmer or somebody that needs to be lean and quick. That's just going to be like luggage, that extra muscle that's on the body, and it's actually going to be counterproductive.
All right. We're debunking some of the myths that are out there. What are some of the most popular ones that you see? I would say the top 3 or 4. Obviously, we just covered the abs,
the abs for sure.
And the eating.
Yep.
And what is another one that's real popular?
Another one is, I have in my studio these machines that work the adductor, which is inner thigh, abductor, which is the outer thigh. Okay. And you'll hear this term all the time if I put a guy in those machines to use them. That's a chick machine. It's labeled because, again, right, the gals, when they tend to hold the weight, they call the saddlebags, right, on the inside, the outside of the hips. And again, that spot reduced that we talked about earlier in the show here, that's not the answer. So they think the girls are going to get in there and just work those inner thighs, the outer thighs to tighten everything up. And that's not the case, because you cannot spot reduce as well. But there are muscles that need to be worked. Those are your stabilizers. For a squat, when you squat, you got quadriceps is your primary, your glutes help out a lot, hamstrings assist. But those stabilizers, like having a house, your foundation, are working as well. So you want to keep those stabilizers strong. So that's the purpose of those machines for those exercises. But it's not going to bring that area down and just disintegrate that body fat that's there.
So guys should be using those machines
Absolutely.
as well.
Guys should be using as well. Absolutely.
I got to say, I would probably smile a little bit if I saw a guy on one of those machines. I'm just not used to seeing that, and I'm just being honest. I'm not used to seeing, but you're right. I mean, they have to work every muscle group in the body as well.
I'd be surprised if you see a lot of guys just training legs. We talked about this.
Yeah, I know.
In general, because it is work, and it's a cop-out that these guys, a lot of them don't. They'll train upper body. They got a decent physique up top, and they got these bird legs going on, and they're happy to wear a pair of pants and be okay with it. But that's a cop out to me. Training legs is the hardest thing to do, because it's your large muscle groups. Your heart rate is through the roof if you're doing them correctly. You should almost feel you're right on that cusp of maybe feeling a little nauseous there, where you feel like you're gonna maybe pass out. I've had that before. And me personally, if I don't feel that way at the end of the leg workout, I'm kind of disappointed, because I want to push it as hard as I can. So. That's what the legs will bring you, and that's why a lot of people.
Yeah, he liked to kill me yesterday.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know
It
was leg day.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 leg days this week, and he just about killed me.
Got to do it, But the nice thing about it is, because it's a large muscle group, you're burning that many more calories. You can do biceps and curl. You're going to burn, but when you start squatting or leg pressing using those quads and glutes, heart rate is through the roof, and you're burning calories.
That's amazing too, and I love. Most of this stuff that we're talking about, we may be repeating ourselves, but there's a point to it, and that's that you need to hear what's right, what's wrong, and that is so amazing to me, because the workouts that you've been giving me really do keep me on my toes. Right. And we were talking about ab work, and we hardly ever do ab work, and yet my stomach is getting flatter than it's ever been in the last several years.
Me, it's working.
Whew.
Yeah. Here's a great thing too. It happened today. I had a gal that I was training, and we changed up some things where her abs were sore. Oh my gosh, my abs are sore. But we're doing things you would think that has nothing to do with abs. A tricep push down, a shoulder press. We could not believe how sore her abs were that she felt them during those exercises. I said, you see, that's what I'm talking about. They are involved, but because you don't feel them, you don't think, oh, they're not working. They're working. You know, they're working.
What is the bench that you have, the rounded bench that you have at the gym?
Yeah.
What is that called? I mean, is there a specific name for it?
No, actually, it's there's a name that they call it. It's just a manufacturer name, but it's a bench.
It's got like a rounded. It's kind of like gel. It's almost kind of reminds you of a Bocey ball. How the Bocey ball is kind of rounded on one end. A
real thick bladder that's on that thing, and it is filled with air. It's elongated like a bench. As Gloria was saying, the Bocey ball is round. This one is elongated, so you can lay down on that thing and do crunches off it, chest press. You can stand on the thing as well.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up when you were talking about her being sore and not having any ab work done. He had me stand on this bench, and then we were using the bands, correct?
Yeah, bands at one time, and another time we did free weights.
Right, right. Yep. Free weights. That's what it was. It was free weights. I was standing on the bench, and you had me doing curls, but it was engaging my core, all of my core, and just to keep my balance on this thing while I was doing these curls. And then sure enough, the next day when I went to get out of bed, I'm like, owie, owie, owie.
Yep.
And I came back, I'm like, I don't know why my abs were this sore.
And didn't do any crunches or anything. Nope. That's all it took there. You know, with that concept there, when you're out balancing and then you have an overload, she was doing a bicep curl, 30, 35-pound barbell in hand. So it's out in front. So what that weight wants to do is pull her off the bench because she's elevated. She's up on a bench right now. That weight wants to pull her off. So what's keeping her back to stay there and then be able to perform the exercise is the core, you know, and that's the neatest thing. A shoulder press you can do as well too with one arm. So now you're overloading your body on one side. You got a 20-pound dumbbell on here. You're standing straight up. If you were able to just to shut off your core, you would fall right off the ball. You would just whoop. But because for you to stay up erect as you're doing that shoulder press, your core is in play right there. It has to be. Otherwise,
that's amazing, and that's something too that we need to talk about is some of the misnomers about back, why the lower back is going out. And here is a very, very common one. And for those of you that have asked me this question, I'm finally remembering to ask Mike, and that is people that sit all day at their computers complain a lot about knee pain. How is the knee and the back, the lower back, connected as far as why they're getting? Because I spoke with a chiropractor and he said that most, and this is not me, because thank God my back has always been very strong, but he said that the knee pain actually comes from the lower back being out of alignment.
And just weak.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the big thing, weak, and talking about, well, not so much a myth, but an excuse of people. And actually, when clients come in, we do an assessment in each client and find out limitations, if they had any surgery, knees, things like that too, so you can customize the workout for them, you know, on their on what they have going on. And a lot of the guys, you know, with the bellies going on, they have a bad lower back. And I said, bad lower back, what do you mean? Slip disc, herniated disc? No, it's just it hurts all the time. So structurally, there's nothing really wrong with the back. It's just weak. And back again, we were talking about with standing on the ball, you got that overload up front of that belly that's just pulling as you're walking around on that spine, you know, and it's constantly fighting. You're not doing any exercising to strengthen those erector spinine muscles that are two thick muscles that run right alongside your spine on the lower back. So now it's just a weak lower back that's aching all the time. So what we do, and I do with those clients, they say bad lower back. There's nothing wrong with the back. We drop some of the body fat in the area. We strengthen that area. All of a sudden, their back problems are gone.
Very true.
And then also, like you said, the knees, tight glutes will create the lower back also to tighten up as well too, and right on down to the hamstrings, right to your knees as well. So that's why movement is so important, and you need to keep those muscles strong to eliminate some of this pain.
One of the things, I was out to lunch today with a friend of mine, Dawn Martin. Hi, Dawn. And she and I were talking about the fact that we have to be very, very conscious now of slumped shoulders. We're all starting to lose our posture because, I mean, even you and I, as we are sitting here in this chair, this chair is actually designed for us to slump, to round our shoulders, as you can see. Yeah, it's nice and comfy, but if you're sitting in this all day long at a computer or television or whatever you may be doing at a desk, you are leaning forward.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advice for people that are in, and I know
Yeah.
you're going to say the ball,
Yeah, the
but
Swiss ball,
if
sure.
their boss won't let them bring it, because I did get an email from somebody saying, well, what can you do if your boss won't let you bring in one of those
Right.
balls? It's a great
Yeah.
idea. Any suggestions?
Yeah. Well, if you can have that ball not even at your desk, probably because it's envisioned of customers coming in, that not like the way it looks, it's being unprofessional. But you want, if you can have that Swiss ball in your arsenal somewhere in like a break room or something, where now you're sitting, like Gloria was saying, up front, you want to be able to sit on that ball, work yourself out, so your lower back is at the highest point of that Swiss ball. Swiss ball, it looks like a big beach ball. It's totally round, and do like a backward bridge over that ball. So now you're working the antagonist because everything's pulling forward, and you're just going to go stretch the opposite way and work on that throughout the day, and that'll definitely help that posture to counteract everything coming forward.
Okay. What about people working out 5, 6, 7 days a week?
Yeah.
How about the overkill?
Yeah, well, overtraining, more is not better. You see these people 2 hours, spending 2 hours at the gym, coming 5, 6, 7 times a week. Especially as we get older now too, your muscles need time for muscle repair and recovery. So what the misconception think you grow in the gym, okay? You don't grow in the gym. You get a pump in the gym, so you look in the mirror, you like the way your arms look. You feel like, wow, I'm going to come back and do arms again tomorrow. Worst thing you can do, because you're in the gym to damage muscle. And it sounds bad, but you want to break down muscle fiber, break it down. And then you want to give it time to recover, and sleeping correctly, enough, eating will help that come along. Supplements as well too. If you're just going to come back in and before they even bonded to get stronger and break them down again, you're going to what we call overtraining, where you're constantly achy sore. It's a whole different type of just a muscle soreness. Muscle soreness we enjoy. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
You sit down, your glutes are sore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, but this is like almost like a flu-like system. Everything's achy, and before you know it, you're going to stop going to the gym. You're throwing the towel. You're done, and that's what's happening. You just set yourself up for failure there. So it becomes counterproductive by going in there too much. When you're younger, 18 years old, you can train chest 3 times a week and still grow like a weed. Say a young man too with the testosterone, their muscle repair recovery is much quicker, and they're resilient too. If they do get injured or so, they bounce right back. As we get older, you got to be smarter. So muscle repair recovery is even more important. You get it done, give yourself that time to recover, hit it again. Things like massages are also helped for the muscle repair recovery, and it's preventative as well too. You want to get on that table for the massage to help repair so you don't have an injury. Most people wait to have an injury before they get on the table.
That's true.
But getting on there frequently will prevent that. It'll prevent the injuries, and you'll have much better workouts.
Now, what about the people that, again, we're debunking myths or misunderstandings, and that is the person that says, oh, I couldn't get to the gym today, so I'm going to be there 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. No good.
No good. Why is it no good?
No good. Again, you're into overtraining. After you're going over 40, 50 minutes of just training on the muscle, you're going to go beyond the positive part of that workout and it's going to start becoming counterproductive. So 3 hours, it's unhealthy for the body. It's not good. People always ask me too, when you want to do these spins for 3, 4, 5 hours to raise money. You couldn't pay me to do that. I can do it if I had to, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that to the body. It's not good. And we eat correctly and everything. Me and we're training and all. Why in the heck would I want to set myself up to do something like that? So you got to be smart. You missed that day for whatever reason. You get back in it the next day and hit it hard. Just hit it hard, but you're in, you're out. You're not going to hang out in the gym because it becomes counterproductive.
Address the mindset that people have when you're working out 3 days a week with weight training. I'll say with training with weights, and then maybe you're doing cardio 2 days a week and taking that 2 days off. We know that it's important that the body recovers in that time, but it's the mindset that they have to get past.
Right.
That it's okay, it's good for the body.
Right.
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, and I guess the computer crashed. Welcome back. This is Gloria Ponziano talking with Gloria, and in the studio with me again is Mike Labua from Elite Body Personal Training. Sorry about the difficulty. I'm not really quite sure where we got cut off at, but what were we talking about? Oh, I know. We were talking about overtraining in the studio and why you can't go in there 3 hours. And then my question to you was, what about the mindset that we have for the weekend, taking the weekend off or taking
Right.
Saturday and Sunday and not training at all.
Yeah. That's difficult for a lot of people too. And
It's
me
difficult
included.
for me.
Yeah, me included. I like to do something every day. So you got to strategize what you're doing here. It's possible that you can, so you don't overlap and overtrain a muscle, And I train 6 days a week myself. And the seventh day, I like to run wind sprints outside, and I work on a heavy bag for more cardio, a lot of core, a lot of shoulder work as well too. And it's a different type of training than the weight training. So I have it set up where, for example, I just give my workout on Mondays. I do chest, which is a push type exercise. 40 minutes, I'm done. Next day, I go to back, which is the antagonist, just a fancy word for opposite, while I'm doing the pull muscles. Because we talked about, remember, in the time for muscle repair recovery. So I am allowing my chest to repair, recover as I'm working out again. So mentally, I'm okay because I'm training on doing back, but those push muscles are resting at that time. That's why we set it up where now you push, pull. And then leg day, Wednesday, I get some legs in with deadlift, which is a lot of lower back, a lot of quad, glute, traps, core, big time. Just deadlift on Wednesday. Then I come back to that push. Now, remember, the last time I pushed was Monday. So I got 48 hours in between, Tuesday, Wednesday off. Thursday, I'm back pushing again for shoulders. Then Friday, I hit the tricep and bicep directly. When I say direct, because you're using the triceps every time you push, whether it's a shoulder press, chest press, triceps are working secondary. If you're pulling with back, your biceps are working secondary as well. So if you're going to miss any muscle group during the week, let it be the triceps and biceps because they're getting hit with the big stuff anyhow. But then I hit them directly at the end of the week, and purposely, strategically, I have it at the end of the week because if you did tricep, bicep, say on a Monday, next day, all right, I'm going to come back and do chest. Your triceps are sore, and they're going to be used in a great deal with the chest press, so it's not a smart thing to do. So you break it up correctly, and then on that Sunday there, you're throwing like some wind sprints and boxing. You're still doing something, but you're allowing those muscle groups to train to actually rest properly. You can take care of that where you're not actually taking days off.
Or you could, for those of us that don't have a bag to box with, you can also just ride your bike,
go
go
absolutely.
for a walk,
Just be active.
something to be active.
Absolutely.
You said you wanted to say something about what did you call it? We were
well,
talking about tricep.
yeah, we're talking
what did you
about-
call it? Flapping in the wind or something?
Yeah. Well, you always hear, the gals especially too, when they wave and stop waving, their arms are still moving underneath the tricep going. So they want to come in and tighten up the triceps. Again, during assessment, we will talk and said, okay, well, right away, as we talked about, we all know now that it's going to take your nutrition and cardio to tighten that up. Of course, you want to work those triceps to keep them strong, but the debunk thing there is by doing tricep press downs or doing a bunch of tricep exercises, it's going to just burn that fat away. Again, that's a myth. You cannot spot reduce. That's not going to happen, and that's very common because of a lot of the females are concerned with that.
Yeah, right. And why is it that for women, why is the tricep just seems to be the first thing that goes?
There's really no good reason for that.
Just something that's not really used that much?
Correctly. It is not used as much.
When you're picking up your baby or you're picking up your groceries, you're
Right.
primarily using
Bicep.
your biceps.
Bicep, yeah. Any type of tricep is a push away type of like an explosion. Football players, when I have football clients that I train, I do a lot more of explosion because it's all about separation. If you're going to take a block on you, let that guy get into you, the block, you're done. He's got the block on you. The running back runs where he wants to run. He's got you. It's all about separation, creating distance with your opponent in front of you. So the tricep chest is very important. I like to use dumbbells too because you may have as an offensive lineman a guy coming in here, but how your pressure, you got to use this guy here too, chip off on a block. Again, you're working unilaterally. So with the dumbbells, it's nice. Instead of you're not going to just bench press this guy, come over here and bench press the next guy. It's constantly moving here. So with the dumbbells, you can't, the left can't help out the right and right can't help out the left, vice versa. So that's what's nice about using the dumbbells over a barbell.
What about supplementation as far as, I had a gentleman ask me yesterday, sent me an email last night and asked about DHEA, which I know a lot about these hormones, but this is your show. You would address this to our gentlemen especially first, because I know women want to know about DHEA and the benefits of it. Is this something that you supplement with? Is it something that you recommend for men over 40?
I do. It's funny you say that, and I've trained a lot of doctors now, and this is not like another whole topic that we can't talk about. It's funny that are, you see these anti-aging clinics or doctors' offices that are doing this stuff. with the hormones, where they're changing the numbers when you're 50 years old. If you cover the age and you look at the sheets and you see the numbers, they're like 25 years old. DHEA happens to be one of the hormones that they're using a lot of. I'm not against that at all. It's all about feeling good and getting better. But there's nothing in some of the athletics. It's illegal, which is crazy. In some of the sports, but these are prescribed things that you get from the doctor. They're not nothing illegal about them. But we can go on and on about different hormones that they can.
Right. And I know neither one of us are medical doctors, and we're not prescribing anything. But it's a question that men ask, especially if, and I'll just kind of share some of the questions that have floated around over the years that are pretty typical of men. And that is if they're feeling weak, or they're feeling, they just don't have that same amount of energy, same amount of muscle mass, and they think that it's always a testosterone issue, and it's not. And so trying to explain to them that sometimes it's the DHEA, or something else that's going on in their body. And again, we're going to be careful not to prescribe, because we don't want anybody thinking that we're coming across as medical practitioners. But do you want to address that a little bit as far as like the testosterone myth? Sure. Because I do believe that there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to testosterone in men.
Right. Well, the testosterone, naturally, it's your natural testosterone as you're younger, it's flowing through your body. That's where you grow fast, as you're training earlier ages. And then as you get older, it does decline with age. But what also keeps that natural testosterone level higher, though, is exercise, And a lot of these guys that are out there that don't do anything exercise, they're overweight. They work at a desk job. They come home, they sit on the couch, remote, and they're basically useless.
Right.
They don't want to do anything. If you look at their testosterone count, it's way low because they're not doing anything to help it. So then that's the thing. They'll rely on this too. Bottom line, you can take this, that you got to get up, you got to move, you got to work out. There's no easy pill. There was, I'll be out of a profession, what I'm doing here. And there's no magic pill that you just take and look great, feel great. You got to put the time into it. But the testosterone level does definitely decline as we get older. Again, exercising will help keep that up higher. But again, with this anti-aging one, that people that do have low testosterone levels would take that as a supplement, as well as working out and get great results.
Right. But there are going to be some terrible negative side effects to that as well. I know women taking DHEA don't understand that often that the DHEA will convert to testosterone. And so now you got a woman with a little bit too much, and that's going to throw off everything else.
Right.
So you started to say something.
In the testosterone, back to that is, and the other problem with the guys taking it now, what happens is then you start building estrogen, like women have, and the guys don't want to have that, and it doesn't look good on the body as well, too.
Man boobs.
Exactly.
Don't want no man boobs.
She said it. Exactly. It's called, the medical term is gyno, is what it's called, and in this surgery that they have to remove that as well, which is crazy. I've seen it in the bodybuilding world as well, for people that are taking things that not under good tutelage, we'll put it that way, on that too. So that's something else. But back to the females too, is then they can find out too that their thyroid is not working at all. They're just shoveling crap against the tide. I'll say it that way. You're going nowhere fast, and you feel for these people. They're working, they're watching what they're eating, and they cannot lose the weight. And that's what it is. And if they get that thyroid corrected, you'll see that body fat melt right off. Because they have that work ethic, everything's there. But again, the thyroid's not working.
Right.
You find that happen a lot.
And that is really, as far as like supplementation, that I'm doing an experiment, not an experiment, but we're using me as a guinea pig sort of. And we'll be talking maybe next month about supplementation and the different things that you can do and this is under my doctor's, my doctor's care and my doctor's advice, and things that I started implementing and seeing amazing positive results. So that's definitely something I'd like us to talk about maybe next month when you come back on, the importance of certain supplements that actually can help correct thyroid issues.
Absolutely.
Stress is a huge, huge culprit in our culture as Americans, and so much can be traced back to the amount of stress level that we're under. you can be working out like crazy. As Mike knew when he first started working with me, I was under a tremendous amount of stress and I was still working out. And when I went to him, it wasn't until I started doing something about the stress. And sleep is so important to help the body to recover, to restore itself. And that's something that a lot of Americans just don't get enough of.
Right.
And so it really isn't. I'm telling you, I work out with this man 30 minutes 3 times a week, and it's the most intense workout. It's just amazing.
Well,
so
you get out what you put in it. So, I mean, you work hard.
Yeah, it was
So,
really tough.
good.
What are some other things? Now, just before I turned my computer off to come here to the studio, I saw a headline aside from that we finally have a pope.
Right.
But there was a misnomer. They said they were basically debunking some exercises, and I didn't get to pull it up on the computer because I didn't have time. But the first one was the bench press.
Okay.
They said that there's actually other exercises that are better for building the chest than a bench press. Is that true?
I can see them saying that, as I kind of touched on it before earlier too. With functional training, that's which is big now. You want to do movements that you do so you can function in life better. And doing that bench press again in any type of sport where you're just using 2 hands, that explosion part, that power is important. But there's a lot of other things that, like, we're working with dumbbells and bands and things like that you can do to build a body and much safer. NFL, actually, they used to do way back when I was a young teenager, and I had my guys that I loved in the NFL, and who's the strongest NFL guy, to read about them. And what they would do is just load on a lot of weight on the barbell for the bench press and look for a max weight just one time, 1 rep. You get some guys doing 500 pounds. And they did away with that, which makes a lot of sense here, because now what they're doing is measuring the athlete pound for pound as far as your strength. So they'll put 225 on that bar. All right. And they said, okay, Mr. D-back, you're 180 pounds. How many times can you do that? Lineman, you're 280. Offensive lineman, you may be 380. It doesn't matter. If you're 180, 280, 380, what you weigh, how many times can you do that? Now, you may get a guy at 280, push that maybe 10 reps. I'm going to even go high reps. Say 30 reps. And you see some of these numbers, they're up there. And you get the guy that's lighter, and he does 20 reps. Well, right away you're going to think, well, that guy did 30, so he's stronger. But he weighs 280. This guy weighs 180. It's a 100-pound difference. So when you do the formula, that guy at 180 is a heck of a lot stronger pound for pound. And now by reducing that weight and see how many you can get, not caring what your body weight is a much better tool to measure strength in an athlete.
Now, when you work with women, because you've been addressing a lot of male exercises and obviously a lot of athletes, and when I'm in the gym, I mean, obviously I see a really good mix of women. It would be hard pressed to determine if you've got more female or males. I mean, because it really is
depending on the time of day. You're right.
Exactly. I mean, and that's good. That says a lot. And address a little bit about and I know that we've done this before, but I think it's something that's grossly overlooked, and that is warming the muscle up before they do any kind of an exercise. I see people running, and I don't run anymore like I used to. And I'm really glad that I didn't, because I could see how I was breaking down my muscle.
Sure.
Because for me, I was wanting to build muscle up. I was wanting to build my thighs, and I was actually tearing them down with as much running as I was doing. But I see people stretching the wrong way. Do you want to address that a little bit as far as how important it is?
Incorrectly stretching, and also the timing is wrong as well, too. You don't want to stretch a cold body, and especially clients that train at 5 in the morning. They're not up that long. If they got up maybe at 4:15 or so, they're up 45 minutes, they're coming in. You wake up, they're like the Tin Man, everything's tight and all, and then they're going to go right to a stretch, into a cold muscle. You're just asking for problems. You're going to pull a muscle, injure
Gosh, you see that on television and everything. I don't
all
care.
the time.
On movies, you always see the guy or the girl getting ready to run, and they're doing the stretch. No. But you're saying even if you've got to do like jumping jacks or something, do anything to get the get the blood pumping.
Yep, that's what you want. You want the blood flow. Increase your body core temp as well too by warming up as well. So it's going to elevate your body temp. It's going to get that blood flow going. Therefore, your muscles are warm. So now you're stretching a warm muscle, a lot less risk of injury.
Address the about weight training and having food in the stomach, and
Yeah.
not eating before you weight train.
The timing part is right. Yeah. And it's funny. And every body, body, meaning body, works a little bit differently, but there's some basic principles, of course. So when you eat food and your body's got to digest food, it demands energy from the body. So if you're eating food and then as that energy is being demanded, and then you're going to work out, basically, half hour later, it's not finished digesting yet. Now you're asking for energy for the exercise. It's like a tug of war. The body doesn't know where it's going here. So you want to give it at least 45 minutes to an hour if you're going to eat. So you can be able to use that as well as fuel for your workout. So you don't want it too close. If you don't eat at all and you exert yourself, and you're depending on your dinner from the night before, you can only be able to go so far if you're really training intensely, and then you're going to just peter out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to run out of fuel and just crash. So that's why it's very important, or you maybe even eat something light, because I say everybody's different. If they eat a normal meal, they're still feeling sick, an hour's not good enough, then he might be an hour and a half or two. So you got to find what works for you. It's not just everybody an hour. You might 45 minutes, you might be good. But you don't want to eat a huge meal either, because it takes longer to digest. So you got to kind of play with that, but you don't want to push weights, and especially if you're looking to get stronger, where you're going to have to increase poundage and you're on an empty stomach. It's just not going to work. And if the meal is too close to your workout, you're going to feel that wanting to come back up again as well too. It's going to affect your workout. So that's not working either. So you got to find that happy medium.
Okay, so basically, do have something in your stomach before you do a good workout,
Right.
Weight training, but just make sure you allow plenty of time. And every person is different. So I know with me, when I come to you, I have to have an hour in between.
Right. There you go.
I have oatmeal and protein, and if I work out with you and run a little bit short in time, and I've only done 45 minutes, I feel it, don't I? I mean, I'm
absolutely.
like, it's coming up. I got to sit up.
I see it. Yeah, exactly. Not fun.
No,
but
it's not.
now that's as far as weight training. Now it's very effective on an empty stomach for cardio, but it's upon waking up. So if you had to say a treadmill at home, you're going to wake up, brush your teeth, throw a t-shirt, some shorts on, and go. Don't dilly-dally. If you're going to take the kids to school and all 2-3 hours pass and then go do your cardio, well, then you defeated the purpose there. You might as well just get something to eat light then, because you're up now too long. Let's say you slept 7-8 hours. There goes another 2 hours, 10 or 11 hours, no nutrition. Well, then it's going to just kind of shoot you in the foot there. So you want, if it's going to be on an empty stomach, which is very beneficial, that's how I like to do my cardio, especially when I got ready for shows. It's first thing in the morning, but I'm rolling out of bed and getting on that treadmill. Again, as we talked about the warm-up, where you're walking for 5 minutes, you increase the speed a little bit, so it's a gradual warm-up, and then I'm going to hit those sprints. But I'm not going to come right out and do sprints, because it'll just defeat what we just said, you got to warm up that body, but it's basically waking up and getting right into it. Don't waste any time in between, because then, again, it defeats the purpose.
All right, what about as far as when you talk about the nutrition? I've been asked this a couple of times, and I think it's probably worth mentioning here. How much protein should a person have in their diet? Isn't you want to address poundage and
with grams wise and all? As far as protein goes, if you're an athlete or active, naturally your protein level is gonna be a little higher. So the rule is 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Okay, so if you're 200 pounds and it's 1.5, you're gonna have 300 grams of protein throughout the day, but you need to spread it out, not just all in one meal.
That's
of course,
somebody that's active.
Yeah, it's active. If not active, you can go to a gram. So you're cutting back a little bit. That's not as active. But I mean, protein's got a role. Of course, it's going to build muscle, your hair, skin. Is a lot of benefits to having protein in your diet. Of course, you have to have it.
We have to address vegans who work out and the amount of protein and how they can get their protein in, because there are a lot of people out there that have turned to a vegetarian diet. And we're not saying anything about that at all, as far as that's a personal choice. But what are some of the ways that if they are working out, doing 3 days of weight training, how do they get enough of their protein demands met?
A lot of greens.
A lot of greens.
Your fibrous carbs, because they're carbohydrates, but there's some proteins in there as well that you can get. and still be vegan. So
Mm-hmm.
you can eat those greens, the lettuce. When I say lettuce, leafy things, and iceberg lettuce is just water, which isn't a bad thing for the body.
Mm-hmm.
Water is probably the best thing for the body. But as far as nutrients, you're not going to get much from the iceberg. You're better off with spinach, a spinach leaf as well, or even romaine. But spinach is probably your top dog there as far as that goes. And then, of course, your egg whites, things like that that you're allowed to eat. Some people they count that as dairy and they don't want to do dairy. Well, then they're really limiting themselves as far as protein goes. So, like I said, the leafy greens is huge for that. Of course, naturally the meat's gone, and I keep meat at a real minimum. But poultry and fish, but I've had some too that they maybe have that once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Fish, but otherwise, they're getting it through beans. Which is, I mean, the thing I can say about beans, if you put me on an island for a month and said, here, what you got one food choice to pick right now, I say, give me a case of beans and a can opener.
Yeah.
So I get to those beans.
That's a great staple to have, too.
And it's because you got carbohydrates in your beans. Say black beans, for example. Your protein's there, and you got fiber as well. It's nutrient dense. I mean, it's just huge. I just eat out of that, with a spoon and just eat those beans throughout to try to preserve the muscle that I do have. So, they keep it and try to stay what we called before. I didn't use it this term, but you want to stay in what it called an anabolic state, which is muscle building, as opposed to catabolic, which is muscle breakdown. And if you starve yourself, you let 6-7 hours go between meals, you're putting your body in a catabolic state, which is muscle breakdown. Because if you don't feed it, it's got to get nutrients from somewhere, and it goes to your lean tissue. And that's why you will get lighter by doing it, because it's taken from muscle. Muscle is weight. You take that muscle away, you're going to get on the scale, you're lighter, but you're not any more fit. So you want to stay in that anabolic state, and I choose the beans because it can keep you there because it's so nutrient dense.
Now, you did mention fiber, and this is a really important thing when it comes to whether or not you're trying to lose weight. Fiber is a very, very important thing to have in your diet, and that's something that's grossly overlooked in this country. I know from the work that I've done with the hormones and dealing with women and their diets. And it's, I don't know who else would talk about it, and I don't have any problem talking about it. I mean, there's nothing that really embarrasses me, but if you are not having a bowel movement once or twice a day, you're in serious trouble. And not only are your hormones going to be thrown off, but you're not going to lose the kind of weight, obviously, that you want to. But it's so crucial to keep everything in the body moving, because no matter how much time you're spending in a gym, and no matter how much you think that you're eating a clean diet, if you are not getting enough fiber and you're pushing the food and keeping everything in the system going, you're unhealthy. I mean, why do you think when you go to a doctor, they have you lay on the table and they do that little tap thing? Because they're listening for a certain sound that tells them whether or not everything in your system is moving. And if it's a solid sound, then something's not moving. So diet, as far as your nutrition, fiber is a very, very good thing for them to make.
Right.
Yeah.
You need to have the plumbing's got to have to work.
Right.
And,
right.
You don't want any stoppage. You have a stoppage in plumbing. What do? Okay. You got to fix it, and then that's what you're talking about with the fiber. That's how we fix it in our bodies. So you can eliminate and keep that moving going. So the body doesn't become contaminated.
Right.
You're polluting
highly
your body.
toxic if you're not, highly toxic. And it's
Yep.
something that, that I think it's important, and we talk about that. It might be a little embarrassing for some people, not me. I mean, if it's part of the body, it's part of the body. It's something that if you don't talk about it, that's when you get sick, and that's when everything starts breaking down. Are there any other myths? We've only got a couple more minutes. Do you want to say anything about Elite as far as like some of the boot camps and stuff you got going on out
it's
there?
funny. Yeah, we got some boot camps for those that like to get up in the morning, which is a great thing. I mean, I highly recommend early morning workouts. You think about it in this busy world, you have cell phones, and your cell phone's not going off at 6 a.m.
Right.
Everybody else is sleeping, and you're getting a jump start. You get it done. So now whatever your day brings, you go back to your workplace, and you might have a staff meeting that wasn't on your schedule at the time, unannounced. We're now you're calling the gym. You got you had a personal training session. You have to cancel because things come up. You're in the morning, and the first thing in the morning, there's nothing to cancel because everybody else is sleeping.
You just said something, and I might, I'm going to throw you a curveball here because this is not preempted, but if a company is watching this and they would like to have you come to their business and talk to their staff, talk to their employees, maybe they have a little bit of gym equipment in their business. Is that something that they could contact you, how do they contact
Absolutely.
you, Mike?
You can contact the phone number here is 727-785-4655. That's the phone number there at the studio. Mike at Elite Body, personaltraining.com is the email address. You look up the website as well.
Mm-hmm.
It is all kinds of. We have a whole schedule there as far as classes. But what you're talking about, Gloria, as far as I actually go to one place. He's a client of mine, and they have a gym that I helped design for him at the corporation building, which is a great fringe benefit for those people. And I come in and I do a class, and these are the people, the accountants and all that are in the office that come down. There's a locker room, so they got showers there, TV lounge, and they come in, they'll change out, get that workout, get back, and now they got that second half of the day. They got like a recharge, and then it just flies for them, which is great. It gets that especially the morning ones that we're talking about, the morning workouts. It gets that engine running, and you continue to run through, and it stays with you the whole day. If you're sitting at a desk job, you go the first 4 hours, you get up, you work out, and in that next 4 hours, it's a nice break to have as well too. A lot of people are doing it, and also they're looking for productivity of their employees, calling in sick less,
right?
Because they're feeling better, they're more productive. By 3 o'clock, everybody crashes. They don't know how to eat, and they're just dying. You just can't wait to get home, so the productivity goes down, and that work keeps piling up, and it's affecting the company as well. And that's why these companies are doing this now.
Right. Okay, we're about out of time. Okay. So Mike is going to be back every month at the start of every month, and we're always very open to any questions that you may have. If you can't remember how to contact Mike for any reason, you can always write me, and I will pass the questions on to Mike. I'll forward them over. Otherwise, you can reach him again. What's your telephone number?
727-785-4655.
Okay, great. And then again, check them out. You can Facebook them as well. Make sure you like them and tell them that you heard about them on Talking with Gloria. Next week, we've got Vitalize Me coming into the studio. Boy, I'm going to love that. Ladies, you're going to love that because we're going to be talking about skin and the benefits of keeping the skin healthy, and I'm real excited about that because I get to check that out tomorrow. Right. So I want to thank you, Mike, for being in the studio.
She's also a client at Elite, and she trains hard, which is nice.
Great. I mean, it just seems like I've met so many people since being at Elite. It's been great networking. So, and I'm going to be bringing it to you, so you can thank Mike for that. Anyway, so make sure that you check me out, too, at talkingwithgloria.com, and if you haven't join me for a Tapping Your Inner Power, you want to make sure that you do so. I've got one coming up April 20th on Saturday at 11 o'clock, and then we'll have another one in May, actually at your studio at Elite Body. You'll be able to take a grand tour of the place, too, afterwards. Yes, absolutely. So write me if you got any questions, and we will see you next week. Thanks for joining us. You've been talking with Gloria and Mike LaBua. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we're not getting a cue, so.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in.
She has a wonderful personality. She really does.
You are listening to Talking with Gloria.
Let's take a walk on the wild side.
With your host, Gloria Ponziano.